Around 600 of the most vulnerable residents from a remote Ontario First Nation are being removed from their homes today. Kashechewan is fast-tracking evacuation plans due to fears of severe flooding. The community is nearly 2,000 is located along the powerful Albany River by the coast of James Bay. An evacuation had been planned for next week, but a damaged dike is forcing officials to act early. This is the fourth consecutive year the community's been moved due to floods. NDP MP Charlie Angus represents the riding of Timmins-James Bay, where Kashechewan is located. He says the community could face a catastrophe if the waters rise too fast. And MP Charlie Angus joins us now live from our Ottawa studio. So how can you describe this as a potential catastrophe? What are you seeing?
Well, I think your viewers have heard the story of the Kashechewan flooding. It's every year, it seems. This is a community that was placed on a floodplain by the federal government, and then every year it floods out, so they built this big dirt wall around it to try and keep the Albany River out. It's a massive river. You have to really see the extent of the river and the size of the ice jams that happen to get an understanding. The problem is we had an agreement to move this community to higher ground, and the government walked away on it and said that they'd simply repair the dike wall. But engineering reports are telling us that this dike, it's not salvageable. In fact, the latest engineering report says this community is at intolerable risk of harm. So the water started to move very fast with the breakup this spring. The community's evacuating. The first stage is the very elderly and the young children to get them out just in case something happens with the water.
Yes, and that's happening this hour right now. So when will the rest of the community be moved?
Right now we have, I was speaking this morning with the community as well as the evacuation team in Kashechewan who are going to be facilitating. So over the next 2 days we'll have about 600 go out. We still have about 350 people who are living in hotels and apartments in Kashechewan from last year's evacuation. So the rest of the community will be staying. These are the people who work there, adults who are needed in the community, and we're just watching. It's really a crapshoot every year with this river and with the way the water moves, so we don't know yet. I think what's frustrating is that this government has spent about more than $70 million over the last 9 years on evacuations, on repairs, on dealing with the damage that's done year after year. And at some point we have to say, well, this is really not a smart way to spend money, especially when the government knows that this community can't be kept safe with that dike wall and the deterioration.
And we're just getting a response. We put in a request to hear from the Minister, Bernard Valcourt. We just got a statement saying that the priority, of course, is to make sure that everyone is safe. That's why there's action right now and evacuations are underway. In addition, we've made investments to hire an emergency preparedness coordinator to help James Bay First Nations, including Kashechewan, prepare and manage potential spring flooding. So it sounds like if this is going to happen every year, let's work on a way of being able to predict it or avoid it. What's your response?
Well, I'm glad that we're getting an emergency coordinator, but hiring an emergency coordinator in the spring as the flooding's happening is a little too late. Part of the problem we are also facing is we waited a full year trying to repair these, they're called sluice gates at the bottom of the dike on the one side of the community that were jammed from the ice damage last year and did cause so much damage in the community. Community waited a full year for the federal government to give them the funds to repair them, to protect them for this year. And just last month, the government said, okay, well, we'll send you $1 million to fix it. Well, it's too late at that point. They're encased in ice. So if we had dealt with this last spring, if we dealt with this in a long-term plan rather than saying the water's coming up, the community's at risk, the federal government will make an announcement, that's not how you do long-term planning. And my real concern is for the safety of people and their psychological safety as well. It's incredibly traumatic to be for the young children to be taken out of the schools, to be evacuated to emergency centers. Last year we had them all over the province, separated from each other. We really need a long-term solution, and this community needs to be moved to high ground. That's the only solution to a situation as precarious as this.
Is that realistic?
We had an agreement in 2006 with the federal government. I was there when the agreement was signed to move the community. The community plan was to build 50 houses a year. Over 10 years, the community would have been involved in the planning and the building. It would have employed people. We had another community in James Bay, Hudson Bay region that was flooded out in the 1980s, the little village of Pewanak. That was moved to safe ground. That's a beautiful little community today. The houses are in good condition. The people are healthy. In Kashechewan, it's continual crisis after crisis because people can't plan their futures. There's never security, and it's really playing with dice with the lives of people, and it's just not really, it's not acceptable in a country like Canada that one of our communities could be put in such a precarious situation year after year after year.
Well, we appreciate your thoughts right now on this. NDP MP Charlie Angus joining us as the evacuations are underway in Kashechewan. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.